Hello, my friends. Hopefully you can see me. Nice. I can see you. Somehow the scheduling came out funny for that. It was supposed to come out as 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I see from the scheduling it came out kind of screwy. But anyway, we're here. Hey, gang. Much love to you and yours. Awesome to see you. Let's talk UFOs. There's a lot to talk about recently in the news with UFOs, and there's been a lot of big cases that have not been covered by the media, and I think it's about time we dive in, don't you guys? Let's do it. So Malmstrom, this year, Malmstrom, hey Bug, nice to see you, welcome brother, much love. Much love, gang, love to all. Malmstrom happened this year, the 24th. Artsy dude, what's up, brother? Much love, gang. So, Malmstrom happened this year, January 24th. A UFO, a giant black circular UFO, approached the base from the southeast and apparently caused a blackout on the base. And what makes this case really interesting is that several months ago in New York Magazine, ex-Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid mentioned this case. And he talked about a strange deal going on at Malmstrom. Love you too, brother. Love you, Artsy dude. So, something major happened at Malmstrom, especially, hey James, hey brother from Florida, my one of my home states, that in Vermont. Welcome, brother. So, something major happened at Malmstrom. In order for ex-Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid to bring it up in New York Magazine. And for months, those of you who've been following this channel for a long time know that we've been talking about this case. And that it was tracked on radar, even though they have not admitted that. We have called the base. Months ago, we called the base information officer and spoke to them, and they denied that this case happened. Recently, though, about 2 days ago, I was very thankful to see the first real UFO website, other than maybe one or two, to start covering this case, which is great. Richard, pleasure to see you, brother. Welcome, Richard. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. So that was really extraordinary, the fact that some more UFO channels are starting to pick up on this Malmstrom case, because it's very significant. And I think it goes to the heart of some really crucial issues. The fact that we're being visited by extraterrestrials is not a small deal. It's not a casual, tiny little quirk. Clev, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. I'll circle back to that. Let me write that down, in fact. I'm going to write that down because I don't want to forget good ideas that you guys want to talk about. Lewis, thank you, brother, for being here, Lewis. So definitely, we will talk about Corey Good. All right. But Malmstrom, that is such a significant case for so many different reasons. Think about it. If extraterrestrials are visiting us and repeat visiting locations, that has extreme significance. For a bunch of reasons, it has extreme significance. First, for research purposes. If you know there's a location that has repeat occurrences, you can prepare experiments for that. And you can prepare communication attempts. Yes, Bug, it has been. We'll get to it. So, that is very significant. And it's also very interesting that in the Chris Mellon leak, if you have looked at the package, I don't know if it's available anywhere on the internet now, but I have a copy of it, and if you look at the package, they talk about how the Department of Defense has some advantages in this ET-AAV phenomena. And one of those advantages that they talk about is that they have locations where the phenomena happens repeatedly. And those are Department of Defense locations. And that's what they specify in those documents. And Malmstrom is one of those locations. And the fact that these repeat locations are nuclear locations is very fascinating. And when you think about the implications for a moment, when you really think about it, it's not what Tom DeLonge says. When Tom DeLonge says that ETs are visiting nuclear sites because they're trying to instigate a nuclear war, that's preposterous. That's just ridiculous. It's stupid. Do you guys think ETs are trying to start a nuclear war? Rob, welcome, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your time. Do you guys think Shambhala Institute? Thank you so much. UFO Truth, thank you. You don't believe UFO Truth, do you? Yes, Shambhala Institute, I agree. If they wanted to do us harm, we'd have demonstrable evidence. Ayn, exactly, I agree. I hope that's how to pronounce your name, Ayn. Bug, I agree. It seems very obvious by their actions that they're not. Philosophical Theist, welcome back, brother. Thank you for returning. I think it's obvious by their actions that they're showing concern for our well-being. They know that nuclear is one of the worst pollutants that lasts for thousands of years. They're not stupid. They're obviously warning us. And there's a lot of cases that have a nuclear connection that people don't realize, like Rendlesham. Rendlesham, the U.S. had nuclear weapons illegally at Rendlesham, in defiance of some laws we had with Russia. The U.K. I agree, artsy dude. I agree, brother. And the UFOs apparently shined a light into one of the bunkers that had the nuclear weapons. I think you're right, Clev. I think the government does want us scared of them so they can invest money into shooting them down. They can put a lot of money into these programs to recreating these technologies to create not an awesome amusement park, like I like to say, but it's obvious. Hey, Angela, it's a pleasure. Nuclear, I know. I'm so southern. Nuclear. It's obvious the government wants to recreate these AAV abilities for weaponry. And before other countries do is the, the excuse. But where does the weapons race stop, gang? You know what I mean? It's like, where does the weapons race stop? If we recreate the abilities of these AAVs and add them to weapons, think about it. That's anti-gravity, hypersonic, invisible to all forms of sensors weapons. That is the most deadly weapons you can imagine. Yeah, I heard the Italy presentation was very odd. It was very odd. So, gang, I think, we have a choice as a society now. We're in a mass bio-extinction, and everyone's saying, fear the aliens, fear the AAVs, fear them, fear them. And those are just people who want contracts with the government to create the next generation of weapons. And are these weapons going to really make us any safer? Really? Who's going to make us safer? The weapons or the extraterrestrials that are warning us about these weapons? It's ironic who's the threat, It's kind of... Isaac, your cousin Nick believes he's being influenced by negative aliens. Gang, send some positive love and intention to Nick to clear his mind and clear his spirit, clear his body. And if you guys can, that would be very cool, if you would. So this Malmstrom case goes right to the heart of this issue. There's been several studies that have come out, more than one, that have said ET incidents, reportings of UFOs with the general public have gone down, but apparently sightings with the military have gone up dramatically. That is very interesting. Even Luis Elizondo admitted that Super Sleuth, yay, Super Sleuth's here, love you, Super. Even Luis Elizondo admitted that they had tons of information. They had so much information that they were worried about espionage. They're worried that the overflow could leave the U.S. vulnerable to espionage. Yes, the ETs have a very intense concern about water and nuclear. And the reason why Luis Elizondo mentioned water, and we've been mentioning it on this channel for months from the beginning, in relation to the Tic Tac case, that these craft are coming in and out of the water. They're coming in and out of the water. They're coming from space, going through the atmosphere and into the water. And what the military doesn't want to admit is they have the best submarines with the best aquatic sensors, and we can't see them with our aquatic sensors. Sergeant Sups, welcome, Sarge. Thank you, Sarge, for being here. There's a kind of snappy salute for you. So that's fascinating that they're admitting the aquatic nature of these craft. And it's something to think about, really, deeply. Let me ask you guys your opinion. Do you think these craft are coming from space, or do you think they could have a base underwater, or mini bases underwater? What do you guys think? If they're here on a mission to protect the biosphere, both, I would like to think both bases, I would think it would be logical to have bases underwater, just personally, for a bunch of different reasons. They would want different bases for a variety of reasons. Storage of materials, resources. Heck yes, underwater bases, right? Jacques, welcome, Jacques. Angela, welcome, absolutely. Of course they would have underwater bases. And there's a very good chance there is an underwater base not too far from where the Nimitz incident took place. The Nimitz incident has not been completely divulged in the public. There's a lot more to come out with that case. But I'm sure you guys remember them talking about part of the water broiling and bubbling and broiling. Do you remember that? And they didn't see anything there? Well, there was an invisible craft there, and the craft had submerged, and that's what's coming out in some information, as you'll see over time. And apparently, we're going to get some more videos in January, February. Yep, you guys remember that too, right? Lake Vostok in Antarctica too. I would think that's probably not a bad thought, Super, that they would have bases in Antarctica. It would seem to be logical. It would seem to be wacky at first to be like, oh yeah, there's Nazi, reptilian, blue avian bases in Antarctica. But actually, if you really think about it, Antarctica is a very great place to hide with the thick ice, very desolate. Ingo did talk about it as well, Shambhala Institute. And Ingo did talk about bases on the moon, the far side of the moon, and described those bases. In fact, Ingo was hired by a mystery guy. I forget the name Ingo gave the guy, but he was with one of the three-letter agencies, I believe. And Ingo did a reading of the far side of the moon and saw structures and bases. Axelrod. Okay, yes, that sounds very familiar, Shambhala. I have done a little bit of remote viewing and have seen some interesting things. I will say, despite me not believing it beforehand, I did see some stuff on the moon, so some bases. And it's like a construction base. It's like a real base. It's a factory, essentially, is what it is. Antarctica, if you approach from space, you really completely understand. Yeah, you know, Antarctica, if you look at it from, you know, a distance, the globe. Mick, nice to see you, brother. Nice to see you. Miss you, brother. If you look at Antarctica from above, it seems like a very logical place to hide a base for a bunch of different reasons. You know, in terms of geography, you can travel to a lot of the different, you know, countries easily, but also, of course, you're able to hide underneath all that ice in a very remote location. It makes a lot of sense. I wanted to talk with you guys. You remote viewed Area 51. Interesting. we do remote view a lot here, and we have remote viewed a lot of different interesting things, from interesting military bases, from a Homestead Air Force Base we've remote viewed, to Wright-Patterson, where we've seen amazing stuff below ground. We've seen a lot of very interesting things with remote viewing. And anyway, let's talk, speaking of remote viewing, let's say Edwards Air Force Base. Yes, that's right. I think we did as well, Super, didn't we? Where else have we done Super? Do you remember? I can't remember the other bases we've done. Homestead. Oh, we've done Indian Springs. Very interesting base in Indian Springs area. It's astonishing how busy that area of Nevada is. Very, 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 very busy. Speaking of remote viewing and the powers of the mind, one of the things that became clear in the Chris Mellon documents and in other documents is that the government has a very serious fear. And that fear is of some abilities that these craft portray. And these craft portray abilities like the ability to influence the cognitive abilities of decision makers. And that kind of information is stunning information. Eureka, welcome, Eureka. It's a pleasure. Have you really, Eureka? Please send us an email. We'd love to hear about that. That sounds like a really fascinating case. So the government is very fearful of the ability of these craft to affect not only the intellect of decision makers, which, as you can imagine, is a stunningly powerful ability and something any country would be very fearful of. But it states clearly in these documents the ability to move some, I forget the exact phrasing, but it was move matter between other matter, basically. Also, psychotronic weaponry is basically how they referred to it as. Psychotronic weaponry. What were some of these other things? There's a bunch of them. I've had a video, several videos on this topic, and it's really stunning that the government is petrified of the ability to affect decision makers, to psychotronically affect machinery, instantaneous sensor disassembly. These craft have somehow shown that ability. They have disassembled our military sensors. The ability to pass, that's what it is, pass through solid structures. There's a lot of these very unusual abilities that these craft have shown. And these abilities just happened also to be abilities that recently have been proven real in studies. Abilities of the human mind. Not just Dean Radin, but many other scientists have been studying psi abilities for, over 20, 30 years. And a lot of experiments, as you guys know who watch this channel, have proven the ability of the power of the mind. Those of you who remote view know this is, a reality. So it's no wonder that an evolved species, an evolved race, an advanced civilization would have greater psi abilities than the average human would. Yes, PK as well, Ayin. All those are explained by basically remote influence or PK. It's very, very interesting times, my friends. So the government is afraid of that ability. The government is afraid of the real ability that these craft have shown to psychotronically affect machinery, to affect the minds of people, to pass through physical objects, and much more. But startlingly, these are the same abilities that the human mind have been able to prove in lab-controlled conditions, empirically done in some amazing studies. And if you want, I'll send you the studies and the references, or you can go back and look at a few videos ago that goes into ESP and the reality of this stuff. Super Sleuth and I know the reality of this stuff. We just had an amazing PK experiment the other day with stunning results, very stunning results. So these abilities are real, and you would expect that in an advanced civilization knows. Super, did you find your iPad yet? Still waiting. Sorry. I feel so bad about that, Super. I do. I'm sorry. I apologize. It certainly wasn't my intention to make you lose your computer. All right, what am I? Somehow I made the chat everywhere. Okay, cool. Now it's better. So it's not a joke that the government is afraid of these abilities. Imagine this: a craft, a tic-tac, a small craft, or a smaller craft. A 3-foot craft could probably fly right into the White House completely unaware, and could fly into underneath the East Wing, I think it is. They built that secret bunker, you know, a few years ago, an improved secret bunker for the White House in case a nuclear weapon exploded over the White House. The president would be fine still, apparently. But even in that bunker, a small UFO craft with the metamaterial could be completely invisible to all sensors, could sneak in, could use its ability to go through walls and affect the mind of the president. No problem. But you know what? Humans could do the same thing. We've studied, and the governments have studied, and universities have studied the power of intent. And the Maharishi effect is real. Time and time again, studies have proven if many people get together, at least 1%, and they focus on positive intent and they meditate, that they can change their surroundings. Your thoughts are so important, gang. Your intent is so important. No, I never did do that, Vicky. I never remote viewed that one. I heard that that UFO that was over the Dome of the Rock was fake from an Israeli film school. The 3 different angles was coordinated from the school teacher. Yes, Dr. Burks, very, very wise gentleman who knows about a lot of that stuff and spoke about it. And Dr. Browdy, we just spoke to about psi and the realities of psi abilities. So psi is not a joke. Your intent, your thoughts are so important. That's why I always say, and personally live by the philosophy of, I don't want to make a home for negativity in my thoughts, in my mind, in my heart, and especially in my psi practices. There's zero room for negativity, zero. There's no home for it. If you make a home for it, a nest for it, it's going to come and nest. So don't leave any zero nest for it. Your intent does matter. It does affect the world. The studies have proven it time and time again. You know, some people and a lot of physicists believe that space and time is a fabric, and that everything we do is written on this fabric. It's embossed on this fabric. And it's there forever. It's embossed in the fabric, and it's literally holding up the now. The past is holding up the now. And every action that you do is embossed on space and time. It's there in the record of the universe, on the Akashic record in the universe. It's embossed. It's really there forever. So think about your actions. Think about your thoughts. You know, if someone close to you passes away, they're not really gone, because forever in the past, those moments are living that you were together. Every moment that you hugged them, every moment that you loved them, every moment that you kissed them, every moment that you told them that you loved them lives forever. Every beautiful thing you've done lives forever in those moments. It's written down on the Akashic record. It's written down in the fabric of the universe, for certain. So make yours count. Make yours be positive, right? I would rather have more of my record that's written down on the fabric of space and time be that of love, more memories of love, instead of hate or anger. But that record also is accessible through these gifts of Psi. Remote viewing can look at that record that's embossed on space and time. It's real. And we have had stunning remote viewings, really stunning remote viewings, that have been able to read that fabric across great distances. I bet you do, Eureka. I notice a lot of native people have a lot more psi abilities. It's just a lot more naturally come to them. I just see that time and time again, so it's not very surprising, Eureka. So some more stuff that I wanted to dive in with you guys. The Fermi paradox. I wanted to dive into this with you guys. So, why don't we see more aliens out there? Yes, it does, reply Vicky. Much love to you. And Jueno, MT, thank you so much. You've had precog. Yes, it's real. It's real. And the studies have proven it. Why do you guys think we don't see more aliens in space? The Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox says there should be millions of life forms visible. They should be teeming across our galaxy. We should be detecting them like crazy. How come we're not detecting them yet? Maybe we're not ready. That's very interesting, Shambhala. Many people suggest that there is a wall, that there is some sort of wall that advancing civilizations smash into. They either self-destroy themselves, or it's either incredibly difficult for complex life to get past the multicellular level, to get to our level. Or, like I believe, advanced civilizations realize the wisdom of hiding. They don't want us to see them, Bug. Exactly. Exactly, Bug. That's what I think. I think it's more logical for an advanced civilization to maintain the advantages of anonymity. Now, that doesn't mean it's a dangerous universe. It just means it keeps them safer. In case it is. Because I'm certain they don't know everything in the universe. In what way do you mean, UFO Truth? That there's a lot of truth in 2001: A Space Odyssey. I do too. Hi, Angela. I think that perhaps what we're seeing now is maybe it's AI, maybe it's all von Neumann probes that have over time built a factory or several factories, different places, and these factories are producing all of these smaller craft. Because a lot of these craft, these 40-foot craft and stuff, to me seem a lot like local craft. They seem like craft for local transportation. They don't seem like long, deep space travel craft to me. Even though, of course, I don't understand all the technological possibilities, but that's what it seems like to me. Oh, George, that's a good one. The reason why we're not seeing them is because they're of a different frequency and vibration. Yes, interesting. Interesting. Well, I wanted to dive into that just a little bit to see what you guys thought. Only what we're supposed to see. I agree with that a lot as well, too. You could easily imagine if you have a more advanced technology, more advanced society, that they would be the ones to dictate who others see. Vicky, wow, that's my first super chat. I just got a super chat. I just got a super chat. Thank you, Vicky. That was so cool. That was my first super chat ever. Wow, that's so cool. Well, do you guys want to dive into a little controversy? Yeah. Love you, Vicky. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vicky. I love you. It's greatly needed and appreciated. George, welcome, brother. Thank you for being here. Let's dive into some controversy, shall we? Yes. So, in the Chris Mellon leak documents, there is a secret source. Source number one. Some of you guys know, that was kind of the robot dance. Some of you guys know who that source was. I've broken the name on this channel before, and it's Lieutenant Commander Alex Ann Dietrich. And she is a badass. She fought in 2 different theaters. She has over 350 landings on aircraft carriers during combat, so that's pretty damn impressive if you ask me. She also has taught military schools, and so she's no wuss. She's risen through the ranks of the military and had to fight the sexism that obviously is still in place in the military. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate that. And she is the main witness in the Nimitz incident. She saw the most, the closest. She saw the craft. She saw the water wake. She saw everything. She is a really important witness. And the other day, I wrote her. And I beseeched her to come forward for history. Yes, George, yeah, indeed. I wrote her. Her information, her contact information is in the Chris Mellon leak. And so I used that to reach out to her and ask her to please come forward. Not just, you know, I didn't ask her for an interview. I asked her to go speak to, you know, George Knapp or Grant Cameron or one of the UFO investigators with integrity. And in fact, I will make that email available to you guys somehow. I'll either tweet the email that I sent to her, or somehow get it out there so you guys can see that email I sent to her. But I beseeched upon her intellect and her realizing how important, how historic this incident is, and how she can help society very much by coming forward, and that I know she's certainly tough enough to deal with the adversity that she will get from society for coming forward. So anyway, that's it. Once again, it's Lieutenant Commander Alex Ann Dietrich. And she is a hero and a patriot. And I respect her greatly, and hope that she comes forward and talks more about this case. Next is Freedom of Information Act requests. So, as you guys know, I recently, no, she has not answered yet. I emailed 2 days ago, so she could be thinking about it still and considering and pondering. I have the FOIA that, let me see if this is it right here. Here it is. Here's my first FOIA that I sent, gang, and got the information back from the Defense Department. In fact, it was from the Defense Intelligence Agency that I got this information returned. And I asked for 2 things when in this FOIA. In the FOIA, I asked for a letter referred to in Volume 106, number 56, dated Monday, April 9th, of the Congressional Record, page H3062, as being a letter from the Chief Congressional Relations Division from the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of Defense. The letter transmitted a list of all of the products produced under ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat and Identification Program contract for the Defense Intelligence Agency. Yay, there it is, gang. There it is. Okay. The second part, the second question I had was whether OSAP was still in operation or not. But I phrased it wrongly. I didn't ask for the records of OSAP still being in operation. So I screwed that up. So my second question, they're not going to answer. But my first question, they're just going to take some more time. So basically, what had happened was this director, this gentleman who's in the Congressional Relations Division of the Defense Intelligence Agency, read to Congress a list of all of the products produced under ATIP. So I have a feeling that's more than the 38 research contracts that we know about. I think Hal only put out 26 of them. We put out all 38 of them, what they were. And they're stunning. When you look at those contracts, those 38 contracts, it's stunning what the government asked for. Forever Conscious, welcome, brother. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you. It's stunning, those 38 contracts that the government paid for from a wide variety of people. But some people, like Eric Davis, got 6 contracts. He was lucky. He got quite a few for vacuum energy and things like that. And other people like Richard Gennick got quite a few for brain-machine interface stuff. And if you look at that contract list of 38, a lot of those have to do with those things we were talking about earlier, those abilities of psi. Not all of them, but some of them do. So anyway, gang, we will hopefully hear more good information from these FOIAs here. Oops, I think I showed my address. Uh-oh. I don't know how I'm going to fix that one later. I don't want to have to erase the whole video because I showed my address. I probably will because it shows my address. Anyway, what other FOIAs should we do? Well, I know that I've already started some FOIAs on the Malmstrom case from January 24th of this year. I think that's a big case. It's obvious if Harry Reid brought it up, it's a very big case. So I'm doing some FOIAs on that. I submitted one FOIA, and hopefully I did it correctly because it's kind of hard to do FOIAs a little bit in determining which agency you submit it to, depending on the situation you're asking about. This kind of leads into another topic I wanted to chat with you guys about. And that, oh, looks like I froze for a second. Am I still moving, guys? Can you see me, guys, still? Wow, apparently my screen froze for a second. I don't know what that means. Am I still here? Am I here? Can you hear me still, guys? Frozen, but you got audio. Interesting. Am I moving, Vicky? I'm moving for you? I am frozen. Okay, that's weird. Huh. I wonder if I should restart. Refresh? Let me see. Interesting. Why don't I stop and restart again, guys? I don't know why it froze, but you can hear me, right? Oh, okay, I'm back, it looks like. I think I'm back. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, cool. That was really weird. The screen froze completely. Nice. And I had full bars, so that was really weird, unusual, interesting. So, I think this leads into the next interesting, troublesome conversation that I can get into. And that conversation is, what agencies specifically are investigating AAVs? You checked, Bug, the address was not readable? You rock. Yay, I don't have to erase it. Yay. JP, thank you, brother, for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. There are numerous agencies investigating this topic. As you can imagine, this topic basically touches a lot of different fields. Of course, the CIA is one of them. Let's go through a list of them. Why don't we do that, gang? Jeremy Corbell recently said there's 4 agencies definitely investigating this. But I've calculated at least 8. from some direct information and from just basic simple logic. Let's go through them, shall we, gang? We've got the CIA, just in the United States. Just in the United States. We've got the CIA. We've got the DIA. We've got the 25th Air Force. It's called 25AF, and that is a newer naming of the Air Force's intelligence wing. And the Air Force has numerous intelligence wings, but that's the new kind of, I guess, master kind of intelligence structure. Of course, there's the Office of Naval Intelligence is going to be investigating this for certain. You know that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, he is the superstructure of all the intelligence agencies. So he's supposed to be the funnel point for all the intelligence agencies. So that office definitely would. And that's a big agency. The NSA, of course, the NSA is a great obvious possibility. They'd have a lot of different reasons to want to investigate this. How about the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency? I would think they would be interested in this, wouldn't they, gang? Yes, of course they would. Anything coming in and out of our atmosphere, if they weren't interested in it, I would consider it incompetence. Wouldn't you guys? Yeah. Also, the NGO, which is the National, I forget what, the National Reconnaissance Office, excuse me, NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, would also have some interest in this case as well. And did you guys know that the Department of Energy has several intelligence wings? Some of them are just the Office of Intelligence, and another one is the Office of Intelligence and Advanced Technology, and another one is Counterintelligence. So at least one wing of the Department of Energy would have interest in this topic. So just there alone, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 even. We've got 9 agencies that would be very interested in this topic. And I don't think we've covered them all. Do you guys? No. Forever what shameless plug? Oh yeah, check out Forever Conscious's stuff. Very cool stuff. Orbs, very interesting stuff. Oh, the Department of Energy is listed on the fences at Area 51. I didn't know that, Super Sleuth. Very cool. I did not know that. The Department of Energy also is involved in an operation in Peru, where it goes radar, laser sight, radar, laser sight, radar, laser sight, around the border of Bolivia, I believe it is, on the south end, in a giant L. And it's been talked about numerous different witnesses, numerous different witnesses have spoken about that program, and it's been going on for over 20 years with the CIA and the Department of Energy, and that apparently it's kind of like a hidden shoot-down program. That's what apparently it is. And I have seen the maps that show the locations of the radar site, the laser station, and there's different witnesses who speak about this. In fact, someone just turned me on to the ligand, the soldier ligand on Dr. Greer's site, who talks about this Peru operation. And so the Department of Energy is definitely involved in this stuff. And when you think about it, the Department of Energy is involved in making sure the United States stays on top technologically in technology, essentially, and energy and propulsion and different material sciences. So yes, Peru is monitored big time, and there's a big time operation down there, and it's been going on for over 20 years. It's a very secret operation. You know, if we're down there shooting down craft, and these craft are intelligent craft, if they're sentient craft even, there's some ethical questions we have not pondered as a society yet. Yep, the Air Force Space Command, Naval Space Command, track objects in space. NORAD does. If you guys watched a few videos ago, we talked about the different satellite tracks that have been that have come out, and that Victor Vigiani from Canada got a whole bunch of them released, and we showed some secret documents here about satellite intercepts and objects that have come into the atmosphere and have been intercepted by jets, and that weren't craft, weren't like human craft. So it's a very, very fascinating issue. A couple more topics I wanted to chat about with you guys. You down for it? Yeah, you want to hear more about quantum mechanics, Eureka? Okay, maybe we'll get into that a little bit. But I wanted to explore with you guys the aspect of UFOs that they seem to be very reflective of us as humans, as people, as individuals, and as a society. They're very reflective of us. Oftentimes throughout history, before we had airships, the UFOs appeared as airships. Oftentimes these ET craft are appearing to be reflective of near future technologies for humans. And a lot of people forget about the airship craze. Before we had Zeppelins, before we had blimps, there were a lot of these airships seen. And they had a lot of reoccurring stories where the lights were, they oftentimes landed. A guy would come out, and this one was a multiple cases of this. A gentleman came out of an airship numerous times, and he said his name was Mr. Wilson, and he was from Goshen, New York. And that happened numerous times. Yeah, the airship stories are really, really, really cool. And that happened before we had blimps. And before we had rockets, there were numerous sightings of UFOs that looked like rockets with fire behind them and smoke. Once again, appearing to be reflective of near future technology. And then before we had triangle craft, there were plenty of sightings of triangle craft. Why do you guys think that these craft are reflective of near future human technology? There's a lot of different, theories to that. One theory is simple, is that these beings are deciding to show themselves in a way that we can understand. By appearing 50, 100 years in the future in terms of technology, we can comprehend it. But if they appeared 1,000 years in the future in terms of technology, we couldn't comprehend them. They could be, exactly, it could be way too scary. I think you're right too, Super Sleuth. One of my theories for a while is that it was a technological hand-holding, that maybe they are technologically kind of saying, you guys need to learn how to fly craft faster than your natural technology is progressing, and that we're going to help you learn this technology faster. Because ETs seem to be teaching us the propulsion and power systems and crashing UFOs so that we can investigate their metamaterial. I'm not sure either whether that's the case or not. Whether, it's representing near future technology to teach us technologically, or whether they're just doing that so that we can comprehend them. They're just trying to stay within our world of conception, because if they appeared 1,000 years in the future, we couldn't conceive of them even, maybe. I don't know. I just wanted to see what you guys thought of that. What are you guys chatting about? Some say yellow light, others say a different color. They have to be time travelers. Now, a lot of people say they're time travelers, and there's a lot of good reason to think UFOs could be time travelers. Who else would care about us so much, right? Why would random alien care about us and nuclear weapons and destroying ourselves? Maybe time travelers would care about that. Maybe time travelers are trying to teach us technology faster so that we can get off the planet faster and save more humans. Maybe they know something we don't and have found a way to go backwards in time. That's what I think Burroughs from the Rendlesham case strongly believed. And those symbols on the side of the craft seemed very kind of, in a strange way, strangely distantly human. You know, like a human would label their craft, you know? Now, parallel realities and extra dimensions adds a whole other level to this. Paola, I love Paola, Mike. I love Paola. I love Paola. That's all I can say about that. Met her at Joshua Tree, bonded. In fact, she gave me this necklace here. I still wear ever since, with this black stone right here. Yes, indeed. I think she saved my life, that wonderful lady. She is a wonderful lady. But anyway, let's talk about one or two more things. She does rock. Paola is amazing. She's really, really, really amazing. I love that woman. She's amazing. Yes, I wanted to go too bad. Yeah, her festivals are like really about the event, about the experiencers, about all the good things, I think, you know, her festivals are. One of the things I wanted to explore with you guys, and then we'll explore some of your guys' thoughts as well too, is primary civilizations. And I think this kind of feeds off the conversation we were just having about time travelers. If these craft are all emissaries or avatars or drones, and grays are like secondary, you know, robots, kind of biological robots, who is the primary species? What is the primary species? Is the primary species that sent these here, are they even biological? It's a good question. There is a primary species. It could be an AI, Mike. It could be an AI. Because you would think a biological creature at some point in technological advancement, a biological creature has a choice to go technological, to go into, you know, the biological singularity, to make a leap into technology, to become half technological and gain so many benefits. Big Pat Man, welcome Big Pat Man, thank you for being here. So an advanced civilization reaches a certain technological level, it has a choice to go cyber. It has a choice to go non-biological. It has a choice to transition slowly into non-biological. It's kind of happening with humanity in a way, whether we even realize it or not. So you wonder if these are biological or non-biological emissaries that are visiting us. It's a fascinating, real, logical question. Would you send yourself across the universe dangerously, you know, to explore rogue planets with life forms on them in person and jeopardize your life? Or would you send avatars and drones and be able to experience through them? I think you would. I think most would be non-biological. I think you're right, Super. AI would be able to handle the rigors of space and specially constructed, you know, mixed forms of life. You know, grays, which appear to be second-generation life forms created for space travel. The Adversary, welcome the Adversary. You think the primary species is a mantid type that evolved here on Earth. Interesting. You know, you're not the only one with the mantid type. The insectoid species have been, I think, overlooked in a lot of ways throughout history. The different insectoid species, One of my favorite people from parapsychology history is Ted Owens, as you guys know who follow this channel. And Ted Owens believed that his powers came from two mantis creatures, Twitter and Tweeter, I believe he called them. And yes, exactly, Forever Conscious, he was the PK man, as described by Dr. Jeffrey Mishlove in his book. The mantid creatures are very real, I believe. I believe that they are real. And Whitley Strieber has described them as well. Yes, exactly. The mantids, I believe, are a real species. Or at least that form is real and has happened before. I had a question just to ask you guys and see what you guys thought, what your opinion was. A lot of UFOs, saucers, rotate. Why? Why do they rotate? Is it to distribute an electrogravitic field equally? Why do you guys think some UFOs rotate? That would stink for interior passengers, right? What do you guys think? Interesting. Interesting. Well, gang, I really enjoyed chatting with you guys. You guys want to keep going for a while? You enjoying it? We're approaching an hour. Gravity. Anti-gravity. You guys want to get into anti-gravity? All right. Let's dive in. If you want to do it, we'll do it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about metamaterials and how one of the conjectures right now with anti-gravity is that these metamaterials, some of them, have a reoccurring lattice structure. And the lattice structure repeats as it goes down in size, very much in a fractal kind of context. And that these lattices, when vibrated at the right terahertz, essentially creates a gravity nullification field. And a physicist named Zendarsik postulated this stuff as well. And he talked about palladium. A certain palladium mixture and a palladium lattice structure would basically nullify gravity, essentially. Have you heard about the B8B they made in space? Send it back. No, I haven't heard about the B8B. Interesting. Interesting. I have not heard of that. I don't know if you guys saw the picture from Italy today with all the different pieces of metal that they had garnered, to the stars had garnered, I think over 8 pieces of material from the different crashes. I think one of them is the famous piece from Jacques Vallée, the Ubatuba crash piece. The piece that I've showed some very new pictures of here on our channel, the Arts Parts piece. We've seen a lot of the different pieces before, and I think there's some interesting physics going on there in terms of anti-gravity. I think the resonance of the microstructures is one simple way to nullify gravity. And then your propulsion system, you just need a very tiny bit of propulsion to move really fast. Yeah, Ubatuba. There's a UFO piece there. And also, one of the revolutionary pieces of information, I think that came out of Italy, is that one of the pieces is from Rendlesham. It's a Rendlesham UFO piece. And apparently, it has shown some unusual qualities. So, I think the material science has a really important side. Because for the scientists, it's the ultimate nuts and bolts. Let me ask you, do you know anything about connecting to the source? You think about meditation? Yes, I do, Eureka. Do you want to dive into that stuff? We talk about that oftentimes on this channel, about, we call it the Lyman. How to tap into that zone where remote viewing is accurate and where psi is real, and where the connection to psi happens. And there's a lot of different names for it. You can call it the source, you can call it the Akashic record, the Lyman, the oneness, love, God. You'd rather talk about this than quantum mechanics. Okay, all right, cool. We'll talk about this for a little bit. So in connecting to that place, that space, I think in a weird way it kind of does tap into what we were talking about in terms of physics. I think there is a real physics to this. We just don't know it yet. There's a doctor named Dr. Vernon Neppy who says that he has calculated the consciousness field. He's done the physics for it. He's done the volumetrics, it's called. And he has figured out something called the consciousness field. And this consciousness field is kind of what we've talked about here on this channel before. The Lyman, the oneness, the source, the Akashic record, the monad, whatever you want to call it, it's real. And physics is knocking on the door of consciousness, big time, realizing that consciousness is a key aspect of the most fundamental natures of reality. Indisputably, consciousness is. And so if you want to connect to that source, if you want to connect to that place, it takes practice. It's kind of like learning a bird song, to put it in a simple way. You guys almost all know probably what a seagull sounds like. If you just heard a seagull, without seeing it, you would know, oh, that's a seagull. That's that sound of a seagull. And learning the signal-to-noise ratio is the same way. You do this stuff, you practice it enough over and over and over again, and you have success, and you realize what that felt like, that success felt like, and you recognize that signal, just like a bird's call. And over time, I've learned my signal. And it's a very sublime signal. And you have to trust that signal. With remote viewing, I've done a lot of psi stuff with Super Sleuth. Super Sleuth knows that when dealing with the abilities of psi and the many different aspects of it, that they all deal with tapping into that signal, whether it be healing, whether it be remote viewing, whether it be psychokinesis, whether it be any of that stuff. They are all the same thing. They're all the same thing. I've met a lot of different people who are practicing psi and different psi abilities, and they say, well, I can only do this, or I can only do that, you know, I can only see this way, or I can only see that way. And I think that's true because they've created those self-created limitations. I think the studies have proved some astonishing things about the power of the mind. Astonishing things about the power of the mind. They've proved with some of these tests that the power of intention to affect things without intentionally wanting to do them. Like if there's a general goal of something that you want to do, you can unintentionally use psychokinesis to affect things. They've done studies that have proved that. They've even done studies that have proven the ability to retrocausally create psychokinesis, meaning affect physical matter backwards in time. Okay, I want you to chew on this for a second. Let's just stop for a second and repeat what I just said. There have been studies that have proven the ability of human beings to affect physical matter backwards in time, retrocausality. And there's a very famous study that was done, and it was with a bunch of martial arts students, and I think it was Schmidt was the doctor who did these studies. And they had a bunch of martial arts students and told them that the random number machine in front of them to make the numbers increase, to have them be more one way than another way, more positive than negative. And the thing that those martial arts students didn't know is that number generator in front of them actually is just repeating the numbers that were previously picked a few days earlier by a random number generator. And what they discovered in the studies was that these students were able to affect the random number generator, the numbers that came out. And so therefore had to be affecting the random number generator that picked those numbers previously in time. That is stunning information, that the mind has the ability to affect matter in the past. We're coming full circle in this conversation. The power of the mind to affect the physical universe is real. It's not a joke. Your thoughts, even dark thoughts or negative thoughts, in a quick second, if you're like, oh, F that person, or you're driving and you curse somebody, don't do that. Your intention affects this world. We have a lot of PK and Psi and other tips if you're interested in expanding your Psi or ESP abilities. Super Sleuth is an excellent, super knowledgeable practitioner and can answer questions as well. It would be a pleasure and honor to help you guys and send you free information on any of this stuff. We could do a group experiment to change the past. Wouldn't that be cool, gang? I think we should do that. Even with 44 people that are watching right now, we could use our intellect to help somebody, to help the world, to help cure someone, or to help reduce the suffering someone's going through, to help stop the pain someone's feeling. Wouldn't that be the biggest blessing possible? I think we should do some sort of experiment like that. And in one of our future videos, we should use the power of the number of us, the power of our intent, to do something positive. Bless you, Shambhala Institute. Shambhala Institute. I just got a super chat. I just got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Oh my gosh, I got another super chat. I love you guys. I can't believe this. I really appreciate it. First time ever had a super chat in my life, and bless you guys. The dance makes it worth it. I'm a horrible dancer. I'm a tragically white dancer. God bless you guys. Really, really appreciate it. And there's 42 people here, and I'd like to ask you guys to use your power of intent to help 2 people, if you would. Our friend Christine, who was paralyzed recently, a few months ago. She's still battling depression, and I'm sure battling pain and everything. Please, if you guys would keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, please do that. Also, Isaiah, the young gentleman with the cerebral palsy in Florida, and he had the terrible back surgery with metal from the top of his spine all the way to the bottom. So please use the power of your positive prayers and intent to help. And then also, world peace. It sounds corny, it sounds stupid, but there's so many dangers right now. Trump just reversed that nuclear deal that we had with Russia. So now the world's a little bit more dangerous because of my president. The doomsday clock is probably going to tick forward. We're in the middle of a mass bio-extinction right now, gang. It's not a joke. There's very few people who are wise enough and caring enough to care about the future, to care about our grandchildren seeing these beautiful creatures in the rainforest that are disappearing. I agree, Artsy Dude, with Dr. Edgar Mitchell that they're all connected. And we've talking about this. They're all connected, from out-of-body experiences, healing, lucid dreaming. It's all connected. Remote viewing, it's all the same field that you're tapping into. So we need to, you know, us people who care, who are empathetic, who care about the planet, you know, evil only survives because good people do nothing. And there's a lot of sociopaths who don't care. They just don't care. We're not going to change the sociopaths, you know. The sociopaths are going to stay sociopaths. But we're going to have to outlove them, is what we're going to have to do. Us with empathy, those with caring, we're going to have to outlove these people. And there are very few people lobbying for peace in the halls of Congress. A lot of people lobbying for studying the UFOs to recreate the technology for evil, but we can lobby for peace. You can write your local Congress people and tell them to try more communication with the advanced aerial vehicles than confrontation. There's a lot of things we can all do. We can educate, we can learn, and pass on the benefits of peace and the power of positive intent. So anyway, is there any more topics you guys want to cover? We've been going for more than an hour, and I love you guys, and I care about you, and I appreciate you watching, and I want you to use the power of your intent to do good, now that we know it's real. And if you want any of our information on how to CE5, how to increase your psi abilities, we have lots of information on meditation. It would be a pleasure to talk with you guys and to send you free information on all that stuff. The last topic we're going to cover really quickly is portals, since we've got a couple requests about portals. Here's my understanding and belief about portals from my experiences. Love you, Jacques. My understanding of how it works is this, is contact is based on you, what you can handle, what you are prepared for, what you can deal with. And close contact is the most intense form. It's the most extreme form. Direct communication and contact with an advanced extraterrestrial intelligence is very extreme. And they know this, being a more advanced, compassionate race, these races are, that communicate with us. So contact goes from the distance, from orbital level, as you work on these CE5 contact abilities. It goes from orbital level to lower, to thousands of feet. And when you can actually start to see shapes more of what it is, instead of just a light in orbital level where it's always just a light. And as you improve your methods, and as you improve yourself, the contact gets closer and closer. As you increase your connection to the source, at first it's like a sidewalk, and then as you do it more and more, it becomes like a road, and then a highway, and then a superhighway, and then you have a much better connection to the source, and the contact gets closer, and the contact gets closer, and the contact gets closer, until you can see it, tree top height. Then around there, right after there, after that point, you start getting really weird ground effects. Now, ground effects can be happening throughout the entire process, but the portals are basically the final premier level, and essentially what happens is a low hanging fog will be initiated, and it's completely initiated by the species, the foreign intelligence. And there's two sides of the portal, basically our side and their side. And at first this low hanging mist comes down, the smoke, and then a yellow band forms in the back of this mist, which lets you know the second side is activated. And that's it. There's different types of these portals. There's different purposes of the different types. People cannot go through, as far as my understanding, without being escorted. So that's my understanding. And I have some interesting pictures I could share with you guys, and You can do a lot of research. I can show you where to go to research different stuff on this from different groups have been doing this stuff all the way back for 2,000 years. You know, Rama Group isn't the only group doing this. There are groups before that. And it's very, it's basically the nature of how contact goes. And I think one of the things that really matter with the deeper and deeper contact, one of the secrets, and I'll just share it because I think it's one of the most important aspects of contact in CE5, and that is mantras, harmonic mantras. I think mantras are a very big part of it. If you guys are familiar with Rama, Rama does hours of mantras, harmonic mantras. And they have some of the most consistent, regular, close contact around. There are other groups that have a lot of this consistent, close contact. My good friend, I won't release his last name, I guess, because I didn't ask, but Mike in Central Florida, who's an incredible guy, has very regular contact. That's it. Hey, JP, love you too, man. Has anyone ever experienced a blue flashing light when you have your eyes closed, like a pulsating light going in and out? No, I haven't. I haven't. I have seen blue lights associated with craft, though. Blue rays of light associated with them. Also, blue flashing lights associated with them. Non-human intelligences. Anything else you guys want to chat about real quick? Well, you know, we've been going over an hour and a half, and almost, and just want to say I love you guys. We covered a lot of really cool topics, and up, that's possible. Up, it could be a manifestation of the group. It could be a psychokinetic thing. It could be psychokinesis. It could be. It's very possible. I think in another episode we'll get into some of the different aspects of the spiritualist movement and how it relates a lot to some of these psi abilities. Well, thank you guys very much, and just want to remind you about the power of your intent to affect the world. It's kind of what we started this conversation with and how we're going to end it. To use yours for good, and to not make a home for negativity in your mind or in your heart, because it will nest there if you do make a home for it. If you start to think negative thoughts, just force yourself to think other things. Think puppies. Much love for you guys and to you guys, and I really appreciate your time and watching the channel and helping support us, and our super chatters. Wow, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Love you guys. Love you, love you, love you. Appreciate it so much. Twino MT saw a rectangular craft last night. Very cool. All right. Much love, guys. Love is a verb, not a noun. See you soon.